All right, now we move on to our final review of this Christmas edition of Bonus Features with Alex and Robert. We review the first Home Alone from 1990. This is directed by Chris Columbus, and it stars, of course, Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, Catherine O'Hara. It tells the story of a young boy named Kevin who's stuck home alone for Christmas.
And robbers are trying to break into his house, but Kevin is no fool, and he ain't no slouch, and he's going to defend his house.
Yes, it's his house. He has to defend it.
That's right.
So
this is God tier Christmas movies. I might even go as far as to say this might be the best Christmas movie. It's like a toss-up between this and like A Christmas Story for me.
Yeah, it wavers every now and then. Like it'll be this, A Christmas Story one year. One year I'm really feeling Elf.
Yeah, I was going to say that'd be my... I'd say that's my holy trinity.
I'm a big fucking... what the fuck is the movie called? It's so good I forgot. It's Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
That movie's dope.
All right, so the point is this is really, really up there. And this is a classic review, so we're going full spoilers the whole time. And, I mean, this is an obvious perfect score. So
yeah,
we're not going to be real formal about scores.
You know what we're both going to give it.
This is like as a clear as day perfect score for me as it gets.
Well, I was going to talk about how this movie semi-quasi has not a personal connection to you, but like there's like...
it spoke to me as a youngest child of the family.
Also with regard to the location.
Yes, I know the locations quite well.
I mean, the movie was filmed where you grew up, partially.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know if the entire movie was filmed in Northern Illinois, but like...
Yeah, all of it was.
So, I mean, that must have been pretty crazy growing up.
Except for...
the France shit. Or was it not?
Well, yeah. There's like that
Studios.
stuff was... Yeah, studio. That's what I meant to say, and I think what they do with a lot of... I mean, they do this with movies all the time, is they shoot a lot of interiors
on a soundstage.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But what was that like growing up? Like, literally a fucking stone's throw from the Home Alone house.
Oh, I just went past it all the time, and it was just cool.
And they get pissy about it?
What? No.
Really?
Well, personally, I think that it should just be no one should live in it. It should be a museum.
It should be put in a museum.
Yeah.
It should be in a museum.
Quite frankly.
Itself.
But on to the movie itself. So, the one thing about this movie, and I think this is kind of foregone conclusion, is it's perfectly put together.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where you couldn't really have imagined it working out any other way than the way it did.
Well, I mean, first of all, the movie starts out, and you're just immediately thankful and reminded of the fact that somehow, some way, John Williams found his way onto this picture. The opening titles, you're like, God damn, this is just such a brilliantly ornate score. I can't believe for years I didn't realize it was him. It was like, I think I was in middle school or high school when I first realized, holy fuck, John Williams did this score for Home Alone. That's why it's so fucking good.
Is it an exaggeration to say that this has the best score of any comedy movie ever?
I don't think it is. I mean, because like there are movies that have like pretty like good themes. Like the Ghostbusters theme is like, but that's like a soundtrack song.
And
or like
Todd Rundgren's got some cool stuff going on in Dumb and Dumber, but it's
and then like what's the other one? Beverly Hills Cop. The theme song is good, but like there's like 6 or 7 songs in this like themes, motifs from the Home Alone score. That's like everyone knows that. Everyone knows the setting up song.
It's so part of the movie.
The opening titles, Somewhere in My Memory.
Yeah,
and that's just the songs from the first one.
Right. Well, not in addition to that, talk about great usage of soundtrack. There are so many songs that I cannot separate from this movie. When I hear Run, Run, Rudolph, I'm always thinking of them.
O'Hare Airport?
O'Hare Airport, all the time.
God. Whenever I hear fucking Brenda Lee rocking around the Christmas tree, I'm thinking about those mannequins rolling around on the train tracks and shit.
And a young Michael Jordan
poster.
Cardboard cutout. It's great. The other thing is, in addition to it being so put together perfectly, you know, the casting, the editing. Honestly, that's one thing that I noticed was really perfect about this, which is kind of weird to point out for this movie, but I've seen it so many times that I tried to pay attention. You know, I try to find something new each time I watch it. The editing and the pacing are so picture perfect.
The structure, too, is very fun. What a weird way to start, a weirdly unique but very iconic way to start the movie. You meet the villain in the first couple seconds of the movie, but it's not in the way you expect.
Right.
He's dressed up as a cop. You know, nowadays it would be like, here's the break-in scene where we set up the wet bandits and they're doing whatever. It's like, no, you see Joe Pesci on screen, he's a cop, and you're like, what's going on here? I thought he was the bad guy.
Right.
But it's all a ruse. It's a really brilliant way to introduce a villain.
But don't worry, your house is in good hands.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Well, and that brings me to my next point. The ever-quotable movie that this is.
Oh, God.
The quotes, they're not only memorable, but they're quite literally a part of my everyday lexicon.
Yeah.
I repeat shit from this all the time.
Eminently quotable.
Have you heard of knocking? Flemwad? There's... The script for this is insanely good.
And it starts out very good. It sets up the family dynamic super well and the hectic nature of the event of them going to Paris and Joe Pesci desperately trying to figure out who the fuck lives in this house.
Right.
Do your parents home? Yeah. Do they live here? No. Like, it's just great
all kids,
wordplay.
no parents. Must be a fancy orphanage.
It's great.
Also, I like how they set it up that when Kevin's kind of this rambunctious little fella, and that he's kind of, you know, they set it up so like he feels, you know, whatever, like he's treated poorly, and he's kind of like a little bit bratty, I guess.
I am upstairs, dummy.
Yeah. The thing is that the parents don't like just take shit from him, because I feel like that's the thing like modern movies will do is like you hate the kid at the beginning because the parents aren't really parenting them. They try to parent Kevin. He's just a handful. You know?
They push back.
Yeah, exactly. There's pushback, so they set it up in a way where you can still find Kevin likable. It also sets up perfectly how he's excited about them to be completely gone.
I love how the happenstance of him not going along with them, it's kind of like it's all set up very carefully. He wants to go and he has to sleep with Fuller in the hide-a-bed or whatever.
Right.
He doesn't want to do that. Well, if you do that, you have to go sleep on the third floor or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't want to
then
do
you
that.
have to
It's scary
sleep up there with me.
Yeah, and he does sleep up there, but they forget him because he's alone up there. That's why they forget him. If he had just slept with whatever, they would have not forgot him.
Also, they throw out his ticket.
They throw out his ticket, exactly. The head count, it's like a wristwatch, or a very ornately tied Swiss wristwatch, where you're like, damn.
Talk about some great Chicago accents in that scene. What kind of gas mileage does this get?
Does he have four-wheel drive?
I told you before, kid, don't bother me. Perfect.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, for sure. And it's just, it's very well set up. The family dynamic is very well set up.
There's no wasted lines.
No,
the narrative is extremely tight.
Even the characters that are small have, like, pretty definable character traits.
That's what's the craziest thing about this movie. That's actually one thing I love about it. Every single little character, even if they have like 2 lines of dialogue, is amazing.
Yeah, you're like, I get this guy.
And seems so fleshed out, even for the little bits they're in it. I think particularly I like the checkout lady and the Santa Claus.
Oh my God, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's like, why not? Because you're a stranger. Like, you kind of get her. She's kind of smarmy. She kind of sees through his charade, but doesn't really care enough to like really follow up on it.
I'm a big fan of Jimmy.
Santa Claus got a little get together.
Yeah.
It's late for a get together.
Do you remember Jimmy?
Oh, the
Jimmy, stop that boy.
shoplifter.
Yeah, he's just a good kid. He just wants to do right by his grandma. Probably.
Yeah, whatever. Jimmy, stop that boy.
Points to the like fattest cop in the area.
Yeah, of
Catch
course.
that child.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good shit.
Well, and then let's not forget probably the best side character in the whole movie. Well,
Uncle Frank?
no, we had a few hits back in the day.
Oh, Gus Polinski.
Gus Polinski. You know, Gus Polinski and the Kenosha Kickers.
Polka King of the Midwest.
Yeah.
627 copies. In Chicago? Sheboygan.
Sheboygan. Real big in Sheboygan.
Yeah. Polka,
You want
polka.
to know something interesting about him? He was the only person who was allowed to ad-lib his lines
Dude, I'm telling you.
because he made only some I don't know if this is true. I heard he only made, like less than $1,000 and just shot in 23 hours or something, all of his scenes.
Dude, he is like John Hughes' muse. We talked about this with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like, that guy and John Hughes were just simpatico with like the tone that they were trying to get across.
Well, it's amazing. The scene where he talks about leaving the kid in the parlor home, that was completely ad-libbed.
I love the end of that scene, too, where she's like, yeah, let's stop talking about this. And he's like, oh, you brought it up. I was just trying to make you feel better.
And what's funny about that is you can kind of tell, once you know that that's ad-libbed, you think, okay, I kind of get how she had that reaction, even if it's in character.
Can we talk about Catherine O'Hara?
Oh, man.
She is very much the rock from which the Church of Home Alone is built. Because she is at once kind of the pathos. If her performance doesn't work, the movie doesn't work. She's the mother that forgets her child at home on Christmas. You have to feel bad for her. You have to believe she actually feels bad for doing this thing. And you also have to find her funny. Yeah. Holy shit, she pulls it off. Somebody pick up. Pick up. It's...
Oh, hi, ma'am.
It's just... She does everything so goddamn well in terms of, like, the reaction of, like, what kind of mother am I? You really feel like she just absolutely feels like dog shit for this. But she's also so, like, this is Christmas. The season of perpetual hope. Like,
that's what I was going to say is, like, she has a lot of lines where if, this is kind of what I was thinking. I couldn't imagine any other actress doing those lines.
Yeah.
She delivers lines that they're not badly written at all. It's just, if mishandled, could come across very clunkily.
And, like, make no mistake, it is the Kevin, Marv, and Harry show, but, like, man, Catherine O'Hara does not get anywhere near enough credit.
That's very true. You know who else doesn't get enough credit? The cinematographer.
Yes.
I mean, for a comedy, the way this is shot... There's those kind of gothic horror-esque shots.
Yeah.
For the nighttime stuff, I love the way it's shot.
The South Bend Shovel Slayer stuff.
Yeah.
Very wide-angle lens. The fisheye lens type stuff.
Right.
We'd get a little bit more of that in Home Alone 2.
Right.
Maybe another review for another Christmas.
Perhaps. Well, that's another thing. I love the scene between him and Kevin in the church.
Yeah.
That's like... This movie, I would say this is what... its biggest difference is from movies now. Where movies most movies that come out now seem to be rather finite in their genre.
Right.
This really does a good job of bouncing between tones. And even though some of them, like, when you think about it, really could be considered jarring. Like, it's a family comedy with, like, dramatic moments... But it's also a kid, like, beating up on two grown men.
Yeah, it's like a slapsticky holiday coming-of-age family comedy drama.
It's a lot of things. But the reason it works is, if a movie is good enough, you don't give a shit that it's changing tone here or there. Mm-hmm. If it's entertaining enough, you just question things less. And that's one thing I really think this movie does well.
I agree. Definitely.
Anyway, back to the... salt or whatever.
Salt turns the bodies into mummies. Mummies.
Yeah, whatever. The South Bend Shovel Slayer. That's such a great scene because Kevin is... That's the part where Kevin's really growing up, is he realizes that he's got some growing up to do, but he can also help this old man reconnect with his family.
I also love in the background of that scene, a really brilliant arrangement of O Come All Ye Faithful. And then they start playing an arrangement of one of the themes of fucking Home Alone. And I'm like, I didn't notice this really until now. And it's kind of awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But yeah, moving on from... I'm trying to think of what else. There's so much to talk about with this movie.
I guess just in the trivia department, I will point out that... how do I put this? There's a fantastic scene in Scranton.
Yes.
That guy...
Where the hell am I?
Yeah. That dude is Karen Barkley's boss in Child's Play.
That's right.
Another Chicago joint.
That's right. He must be a local guy.
That must be. But yeah, But I mean, that's another side character. I think it's the detail that makes the world feel lived in and authentic. Mm-hmm. That's what makes it work, even in spite of the blatantly farcical moments.
Right.
There's a way to have both, I think, and because I feel like movies shy so much away from trying to have really, really goofy moments if they think, oh, we got to play it close to the vest and make it realistic, or if it otherwise it's, oh, we got to make it all really crazy, Mm-hmm. It seems like it's very one or the other. This movie's just like, no, we're going to do whatever the hell we want as long as it works. Mm-hmm. And I think that's John Hughes' thing.
John Hughes invented the third act trap sequence that pretty much took over a lot of 90s cinema, I think. It started in Home Alone. We would see it graduate on to like movies like Mouse Hunt and Baby's Day Out and 101 Dalmatians, which is another movie that John Hughes wrote, or at least co-wrote. And should we talk the traps?
Yeah, let's do it.
Man, first of all, the setup music. It's one of the greatest songs in the history of scoring for cinema. Well, it's brilliant because it's a theme and it's kind of a theme and variation on Carol of the Bells.
Yeah,
you hear hints of it and parts of it, but it's just John Williams going fucking ham. I love the scene
yeah.
God damn, it's just like the greatest John Williams flourishes all in one song.
Dude, this score is pretty intense.
And that scene, you're just like, shit's about to go down, motherfucker.
What's so great? That's what's so great about it is this much attention given to a score for this kind of movie. Mm-hmm. It's almost too good to be true.
Oh, yeah.
So these traps, though.
What I love is that it's weird. I've never read Roger Ebert's review on this, but I'm assuming he probably had issues with the depiction of the violence and the fact that it involves children. That's just a guess. But like, what I really loved about this is how it really does thread the needle of like, no, this kid is using household items not very realistically, but like kind of just like sort of almost like it's about blood splatters and away from being real. Like there's bruises and shit and burns, but like obviously when he steps on the nail, there's not blood gushing out of his foot or anything, but like you see it go in. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it perfectly blends being gruesome and like, oh God, that looked like it really hurt, but also being slapsticky and PG. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that actually can make that kind of balancing act the way this has.
Well, I think that harkens back to what I was saying earlier, is that this movie just does a lot of good things when it comes to a balancing act.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like it's just not as common anymore as people. Suspension of disbelief is such a weird thing because I feel like you could have a movie that's really like, if you were like, for me at least, when I really hate a movie, I'm going to start to pick it apart more and more, and I'm going to be much like harsher and harsher if I really can't stand a movie about suspension of disbelief. But if I'm having a good time, I just don't give a shit. I'm willing to go with it.
Right.
And I think like the main point is the traps are just supposed to hurt.
Yeah.
And I guess it wouldn't be very funny if they're just dead.
Yeah. I mean, you could poke holes in this movie all you want. Like, why doesn't Kevin really call the police? It's like, well, he thinks he made his family disappear. Who the fuck cares? Like,
he's scared of the cops because he's a criminal. He stole the toothbrush.
He's scared of the cops. He doesn't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a bunch of shit like that you could really, if you really want to try, like, rip the movie apart. But
that just means you suck at life.
Yeah, it does. I also think
there's two types of people in the world. The aforementioned people who suck at life, and then there's people who think Home Alone is a classic film.
I also honestly think that the traps, these ones are a lot more like, okay, I can kind of see, like, there's a suspension of disbelief here, like, all right, he got his head burned by a blowtorch, but he put his head in the snow, whatever, it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Right.
Home Alone 2 is where we start to get into, like, all right, he threw a brick at his head from 2 stories up.
Like, he is dead.
Yes, but, like, even then, like, it's a different review. But still, this one I think gets away with a lot less. Because it's like, oh, he fell down the stairs. Or, oh, he got hit with a paint can. It's like, I'm sure that's happened to people and they haven't gotten killed.
Yeah.
maybe not in the same night as falling down
Right.
the stairs or burning their hand or head, but still
I
getting
can tell
shot
you-
in the balls with a BB gun.
You want to know what's amazing about the BB gun scene? What's that? Well, not only Joe Pesci's reaction, but the use of racking focus when he
Yeah.
sticks his head through. That's what I'm talking about. There's a way to make comedy a damn art form, and that shot is beautiful. Boom, the racking focus from the gut.
Oh,
Yeah. Ow! I'm telling you.
some of the reactions
there's-
to the pain too are just like that. Actually, sounds like it really like they really hurt him.
Yeah.
Like the scene where Joe Pesci burns his hand and he's falling back. He's like, "Ow!" And I'm like, that actually sounds
Yeah.
like he's in fucking pain, and
Yeah.
it's part of the fun. You're like, Jesus Christ, he fucking got him.
Yeah. Also, fun fact about the tarantula: he had to dub the scream. That scream is classic, by the way.
It's brilliant. It's one of the greatest vocal talents I've ever seen. Is the Daniel Stern March scream. I swear to God, oh man, it's great.
See, he couldn't scream when the spider was on his face because they're sensitive to sound, so he'd bite. So they had to dub the scream.
So he just opened his mouth and
Yeah.
did nothing.
Yeah.
I also love the scream when he steps on the nail. He steps on the nail on the stairs. God damn. Daniel Stern not being in more shit after Home Alone is going to haunt me for the rest of my life.
Guys give up, or are you thirsty for more?
Oh my God. It's eminently quotable.
That's what I mean. There's like I say that quote all the time. Like if I'm like playing like a video game with someone, I'm like kicking their ass and I'm feeling cocky, I'll bust that one out.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
I was gonna say, look what you did, you little jerk. I think that was the most perfect. That's one of the most perfect moments to encapsulate being a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, when he goes through all the memories of what they've all said, and it's worse.
Yeah.
Because
He
look
whispered
what
it
you
to
did,
me.
you little jerk. Look what you did, you little jerk. Kevin, you're such a disease. There's 15 people in this house, and you're the only one that has to make trouble.
It's kind of like Christmas Story.
Yeah,
I'll shoot your eye.
exactly. That's such a great depiction of everything so much more dramatic when you're a little kid.
There's also an Uncle Frank related joke that I kind of really didn't get until this recent viewing. I kind of always just like it went one ear and in one ear and one out the other.
What's that?
If you will. It was the joke where he says, Kevin walks in and is like, everyone's watching a movie, but Uncle Frank won't let me. And then Catherine O'Hara goes, Kevin, if Uncle Frank says it's bad, then it must be pretty bad. I'm like, oh, I never got that joke before. Like, that's like alluding, like, yeah, Uncle Frank's kind of a fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
and like, if
exactly.
he says it's bad, then you shouldn't fucking watch it, Kevin.
And he is a rather a cheapskate.
He is a huge cheapskate.
Put it.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, yes. Fill her up.
Fill her up.
Yeah, and then you can't forget one of the best parts about this movie. What the hell is it called? Angels with Filthy Souls. AC ain't in charge no more.
AC said 10%.
Yeah. The fact that they specially shot that just for this movie,
I always thought that was an actual movie,
a lot of people did.
not a movie.
But it's because I think they used an old set or something, and they made sure to find all the shit to make it look like an old set.
Yeah, old cameras.
Yeah. They really went the whole 9 yards on making just this fake movie scene.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much good shit in this movie. Like I know it's like part of it is like it is a subjective score, and like I can't separate the nostalgia I have for this movie. I can't do it. But I also can look at relatively objective elements of the movie, like the pathos, the brilliant genre blending, the comedy, the brilliant performance work from all of
Right.
the actors involved. It's the score, the way the movie's constructed on a technical level, the set pieces. It's undoubtedly one of the best of its kind, and I have to give it credit, and not just in it being a nostalgic masterpiece in my own mind, but as just a fantastic, incredible film overall.
I'd agree with that, and I think part of that comes in the fact that I've watched this year after year. And even movies I love, sometimes I'll have to take little breaks from them. Mm-hmm. And I took a 1-year break from this, and I brought it back, and I was like, wow, what a treat this was to watch.
Dude, I used to fucking have a TV in my room, and I would cycle movies like for months on end. Like what I would be watching, like put on to fall asleep as white noise. This was one of them. And it's still like, I watch it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I get something new out of it every time.
And the fact that you can get repeat viewings out of this movie speaks to its classic status. So that'll do it for our review of Talking Furnace.